is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering Harry Potter, the Rereading. The Sorcerer's Stone chapters 11, 12, and 13, in which our crew thinks that they outsmarted Snape. Surprise, bitch. Welcome to Unspoiled. All right, welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Natasha.
I'm Rashawn.
And we are going back through the book again after Rashawn's first unspoiled exploration, journey of discovery,
Sure.
expedition into the unknown. Let me think of a more dramatic way to say this real quick. And we're doing it with the illustrated book, which Rashawn was away when she read these chapters, so she didn't read it in the illustrated copy this time, and so she's going to be exclaiming over the illustrations as we go through.
I will, so just be prepared for that, people.
Just so you all know. So I have been trying to, be the smart person, and do my announcements at the top of the hour instead of doing them at the end when nobody listens. So first of all, I want to say thank you to a couple more people who donated to the GoFundMe. We have, I believe that I have already announced Lindsay Anderson. We have Yama Castillo, who also became a patron recently. So thank you, Yama. And then we had two other donors who chose to remain anonymous. So thank you to both of you. You know who you are. I know who you are, even though it goes through anonymous publicly. It tells me who you were, and thank you so much. And we are currently at $545 on the GoFundMe. So if you guys are interested in donating, it's for the trip to Wizarding World. It's gofundme.com/unspoiledhpworld. And we will be coming up with a reward for people who donated. Something special, maybe something live that we can do and, interact with people. But I just wanted to say thank you to all of you, and thank you especially to Nikki, who is a listener and just recently became a patron. She helped us out in an enormous way by using some flight points that she had to get us our tickets to Orlando. So our tickets are booked. Our hotel room is booked. This is happening.
It's happening.
It's happening. I'm really excited. And if you're looking for firm dates, we actually had to change our arrival day by one day because of the price of the tickets. So we will be arriving on November 28th, and we will be departing on December 3rd, which is a Sunday in the morning. So we're planning on spending our first day there chilling by the pool. Maybe go get some brunch, maybe go to the boardwalk area, and then we're going to go to proper Wizarding World first thing in the morning on the Wednesday after. So I'm really excited, and I have put a ton of wearable Harry Potter accessories on my Unspoiled wish list because I would very much like to have something that I didn't spend triple the price at the actual Wizarding World gift shop because they're crazy expensive. And we're going to look at making special shirts so that everybody who's going to be joining us down there will be able to wear the same shirt, and we will be able to see each other and stay in a group.
It's going to be like a Black family reunion, guys. We're all going to have shirts.
I love that that's a thing. I did not know that. It's great. I should go and give credit where it's due because somebody posted, I asked for some ideas, and somebody posted in the patrons group, what about a shirt that says, I'm here with the unicorn? And I was like, that's such a great idea. Like Rashawn would have one that says, I'm the unicorn. And then they would say, I'm here with the unicorn. And I would And they were like, and Natasha could wear one that's like the finder of the unicorn. And I'm like, yeah, I like this. I want to tweak it a little bit, and I'd probably put the logo and stuff on it somewhere, but I really like this idea. Okay, so it was Lindsay Anderson. So thank you, Lindsay, for doing that.
Yeah, I love that idea, and I'm super excited about having a shirt that says I'm the unicorn.
And
just for general purposes, I'm excited to have that shirt.
I really want to I wish that it wasn't done already and copyrighted, because that unicorn that looks really angry and it just says, "I will cut you."
Oh, right.
Would have been so great if it said, "I'm the unicorn," but then it was like this really angry face. So that's what's going on with the trip. I made a special group on Facebook for everybody who's actually going to be able to go to this event to coordinate, because there are a lot of people who are interested in sharing rooms to save up, to save on costs and everything. And like Rashawn and me and Owen are going to be sharing a room. And it's going to be a lot easier for everybody to be able to carpool if they're renting cars, or if they're people who already live down there, all that kind of stuff. So the group is facebook.com/groups/unspoiledhpworld. So yeah, that's where you can go to coordinate with other listeners. We have not 7 people who said they're definitely going, and 9 people who said they are maybe going.
Oh, that's
so
exciting.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. So that is the update with that. New patrons we have this week: Deandra, Samuel Burrell, Julie Thompson, Megan George, Bill Stokes, Robin, Yama Castillo, Adam Ashraf, and Rachel Barsness. So welcome to all of you guys. Thank you so much for becoming patrons. If you're $10 and up, you will be getting a special postcard that goes up to all my $10 and up patrons for June, and it's going to be very generously donated by Hot Wheels and Glue Guns, the store on Etsy, which you should go check out. Hot Wheels and Glue Guns is the name of the shop, and she does all kinds of stationery stuff, like special greeting cards that you can get custom made for people with their names, and just going that extra step for them. And if you use the code unspoiled, you will get free shipping on your items. And she also has printables that you can buy and print out at home, so you don't have to wait for them to be shipped. So yeah, thank you so much to Michelle from Hot Wheels and Glue Guns for that. I have not yet seen what she has cooked up for those postcards, but I'm very excited. Because the ones that she sent me as a little promo thing are gorgeous. And I jealously guard them like Smaug and have not yet used any. What? You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
And I feel like there was another thing that I was going to mention this time. And we are up to 272 reviews on iTunes. Thank you guys all so much for that, especially because I think once we hit about 350, that's really critical mass. That there are very few podcasts out there that are independent, that aren't owned by NPR or something huge, that get over around 400. And I know that Overdue, for example, just reached over 400 a few weeks ago, and they were on the front page of iTunes for book podcasts. So, and that's just they don't do a specific series. They were just on the front page for book podcasts in general. So I feel confident that as we start to climb past this point, things are really going to start to pick up steam. So I'm excited about that. All right. So I think that's about all I wanted to say for announcements. Later on, we will take a little short break so that I can, do my pitch to get y'all to join Patreon. But for now, let's talk about Quidditch. So this first chapter, chapter 11, has a really awesome illustration of the snitch.
Oh, it's beautiful.
This is so cool.
Yeah, it's a little, it looks like a little Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, it's steampunky. It has these gears to have the wings coming out at the side.
And the little gears.
Yeah.
It's really, and I can't remember from the movie if the snitch looked this almost mechanical. Or not.
It's got the same embossed metal, the ball is embossed metal and the wings are, but it looks much more magical, like regular birds' wings. It doesn't, like, they unfurl from nowhere, and they don't seem to have any particular mechanics that you can see that make them go. It just seems like they begin because of somebody touching them.
Right. This is really cool, though.
Yeah, I think it's gorgeous. And I think that it's like something that I think artists maybe don't get as much credit for as they should, because people just like, yeah, you're an artist, you should do this. But it is hard when there is an existing design out there for something to not base what you're doing on that without even realizing that's what you're doing at times. Right. It's just an unconscious thing. Yeah,
it's a reimagining of something that is so popular and already well known, and people have an expectation of what it is supposed to look like. Mm-hmm. And I can't imagine working under that type of pressure, and trying to put a different spin on something, because that aren't always receptive to that.
Yeah. Yep.
But I love this interpretation of the snitch. It's really cool. It would just make a really nice tattoo.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I like it.
That's what I had said too, because I wanted to get a tattoo to celebrate like finishing the series and everything. And I had said that I was going to look through the illustrations from the book for ideas for a tattoo. But I had like forgotten that idea. And I don't think this is something that I would necessarily get, but I totally see what you're saying. That would be awesome. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of Snitch tattoos out there, but they're all based on the movie Snitch.
Right.
So this would definitely have its own twist, which would be cool. Like, the only thing that I could see so far that I would actually want as a tattoo would be the pumpkin for the opening of chapter 10. And that's not really, like, specifically a Harry Potter thing, so just, like, tattoo big old pumpkin on me, what? It's just, I like pumpkins, what? So Amanda painted me a pumpkin with the letter N on it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I have it hanging on my wall in my office. I look at it every single day, and it's awesome.
I forgot about that.
And she also sent me a Hermione's wand, which I have sitting in with my display with all my pop dolls. So, and that is one of those wands that when I went to Wizarding World the first time, I got a wand that was not associated with a character because I wanted something that was like specifically I could pretend was mine. But later I wished that I had gotten Hermione's. I was like kind of regretful that I had just gotten something that wasn't related to anyone. And so then this arrived in the mail as a surprise. I was like, oh my God. So now I get to pick a different wand when I go to Wizarding World. Okay, so this chapter starts off with Harry getting totally creamed by his having to juggle practices for Quidditch and all of the finals work that's coming up. And he is very thankful that Hermione is his bud.
Yeah.
Because she's keeping him on track. Otherwise, he's like, I don't know how I would be getting through all of this. And there is a point where they are outside playing with some blue fire that she carries around because it's getting chilly. And Snape spots them and comes over and is like, well, what are you guys doing? And they notice that he's limping.
Yeah. And then because he can't find anything on him, he just takes he has Hermione's book. She gave him Quidditch Through the Ages, and Snape confiscates it because he's just ridiculous and petty.
Yup. Accurate.
And I was like, but that was her book, though. Isn't that her book?
I thought, that was part of the thing was like, I thought that it was from the way that it's phrased. Mm-hmm. Let's see, where is that part? Because it was really lucky that Harry now had Hermione as a friend. She had also lent him Quidditch Through the Ages. Yeah, so you don't lend somebody a book that you've been lent.
Right?
That's just not how that goes.
So he just takes the book because, you don't want to forget for a second that Snape's a dick. Mm-hmm. Got to keep hammering that home so gullible people like me fall for it and spend the next 7 books being completely all over the place.
Befuddled.
Befuddled is a good word.
I'm so charmingly befuddled. So yeah, library books are not to be taken outside the school. Give it to me. 5 points from Gryffindor. But yeah, you're right. I don't think that even is her book. But whatever. So Harry goes to get the book back later, and that's when he comes across Filch trying to bandage up Snape's mangled leg.
Yeah, I had forgotten about this. I mean, I've forgotten almost everything, guys. I'm just gonna be honest. But yeah, I forgot about this little weird scene, and I remembered then, like, not knowing what to make of it the first time I read it.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason this time it was like a little bit grosser to me for some reason. I'm not sure why though.
Really?
Something about it was deeply unsettling.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's interesting. I wonder why that is.
I think it might have something to do with knowing now more about Snape. I don't think I questioned why it was Filch the first time.
Okay.
And why he didn't go to the actual nurse. And it's just something about Filch who I have grown to really dislike and not think is capable or apt or, and in my mind, he's really dirty. And something about him dressing a wound I was just like, oh no.
That's funny.
You need antibiotics or something. Oh, did he wash his hands? I just was skeeved out.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so Harry is like panicking because he's about to, participate in the first Quidditch match ever that he's ever done in his life with this like fucking weird alien sport. And everybody is either telling him he's going to be amazing, which is no pressure, or they're like, haha, you're going to die. And he goes out onto the pitch and he's like practically going to vomit from nervousness. And things are going okay at first. And then his broom starts to be weird.
Yeah.
I forgot about this, to be honest.
I remember how certain I was that it was Snape.
Of course.
And I mean, it's written, so you're supposed to believe it's him.
Yep.
Right? So that's not like shocking that I believed it was him.
Mm-hmm.
But everything in retrospect, I'm just like, set me up. This was a complete setup.
I love that. Yeah, he is so the bare minimum of she didn't even stop to say sorry as she bowled Quirrell head first into the row in front of him.
Right?
Like barely even says anything, and you're just supposed to like put it together. You're not supposed to put it together. That's the point, but it's quite well done.
Yeah, reading that line, I was like, like shakes fist angrily in the air.
So Harry winds up still catching the snitch because it flies right into his mouth on his way down. And Hagrid blurts out as they're having tea afterwards that Nicholas Flamel is part of this dealie with the what they don't yet know is the Sorcerer's Stone. All they know right now is that there's something being guarded by Fluffy. And Snape, when his feet were looking, or his legs were looking terrible, said, how are you supposed to keep your eye on all three of its heads at once? So they know that's what's going on.
Yeah. This chapter is the first time we get the kids and us as the reader being super suspicious of Snape and then running into that wall, which in this case is Hagrid. No, he would never do that. He's a Hogwarts teacher. He might be a pain in the ass, but, he's not bad and all that kind of thing. This is like the real start of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite a wild ride.
Okay, so Chapter 12, The Mirror of Erised. Harry is laughing to himself at the fact that Malfoy is trying to make it like him not going home for Christmas is this terrible thing.
Yeah.
Because Harry's about to do the hula. He's like so glad.
If Malfoy wanted to hurt him, he would, tell him that he had to go home for Christmas.
Right. He'd be like, "You're just like your family, BT Dubs." And there, I forgot about the fact that, again, because Weasley, look at me, I'm turning into Malfoy. Ron is really, like, much more targeted by Malfoy than Harry is in some ways, because he knows that Ron will succumb to his temper more quickly than Harry will. That Harry, like, gets irritated, but he just leaves it alone. And Ron, in the previous chapter, he, like, goes over the back of the bleachers and gets, like, starts trying to beat up Malfoy.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I always took it that Malfoy targeted Ron more, not just because of the reaction, but because he knows more about Ron.
That's probably true.
Used as ammunition.
Yeah, that's true. Because, yeah, he has a pretty public family that everybody knows. And
his father, you know, knows Ron's dad and is a kind of, not his boss, but, you know, a much higher standing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure his father talks all kinds of shit about him at home. So.
Yeah, that's true. So in this chapter, it starts off with, like, Malfoy, like, being a dick about Ron helping Hagrid for a second in the hallway with the Christmas tree. Being like, "Oh, are you trying to get some extra money by helping him out? I'm sure his hut seems like a palace compared to where you're from." And predictably, Ron flips the fuck out and goes after him just as Snape comes around the corner. And it's like, well, what's this? And
we didn't get a lot of Malfoy at the end of the book because the story is so much bigger than him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a little while since I got full on Malfoy, but that sounds terrible. That was a terrible way to phrase it.
That is, I hate all of it. So never again, please. Thanks.
But you know what I mean. It's been a minute since we really got or had to deal with just how obnoxious and hurtful he was. Mm-hmm. He was just terrible all around. And I think I forgot because I wasn't seeing him as much towards the end.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Because it's just, like, in the scope of things, this is so petty and small. Mm-hmm. But when there isn't anything else going on quite yet, and this is your everyday life, this is fucking irritating as hell. Yeah,
and he never lets a moment pass without inserting some kind of dig in. Like, it's almost like it's physically impossible for him not to say something whenever he's around them. He just can't help himself. So it's relentless.
Yeah, it's true. And Ron at this, he's like gets separated and he says, "I'll get him," said Ron, grinding his teeth. "One of these days I'll get him." And I'm like, "You won't, though." It's like almost really depressing to know right up until the end, Malfoy is trying to fuck them over. There is not a moment where he really redeems himself. The only thing that happens is that his mother redeems them as a family a little bit by giving a shit about her son. Yeah. But Malfoy is never wiser, it seems like.
And he grows up and has a family and has kids. And I don't want to say he doesn't suffer any consequences, but it doesn't look like he suffered a whole lot of consequences.
Nah, it sure doesn't.
So, but we don't know, at this point in the book.
Yeah.
I thought for sure that there would be a comeuppance. Like, when we first started, I was like, all right, by what book do we, stop this shit out? Like,
honestly, like, there's a part of me that kind of almost likes the fact that she doesn't give him a comeuppance, because she's like, some people just manage to get by with being terrible.
Yeah, that's so fucking true.
It seems very real and weirdly, like, adult that she doesn't just have him get some kind of really poetic justice that feels, because Lord knows, although so quick side note about poetic justice that I didn't know about until a few days ago, but I was watching The People versus O.J. Simpson, and, it's super frustrating because it feels very clear that he did this. and he gets out. I didn't realize that when he got convicted of the second crime years and years later for breaking into that guy's hotel room to steal the sports memorabilia that he claimed was his, he got convicted and sent to prison 13 years later to the day of when he was acquitted from his
day.
Yeah.
I don't think I realized that either.
And when I read that, because it was in the like Wikipedia about the case to the day, I was like, what? That's brilliant. Like, I don't like 13 years is a long time to wait, but that feels pretty good to read. Like that finally came back around at some point.
Yeah.
So
I like Dave Chappelle on that.
What's that?
You know the Dave Chappelle joke from the show?
I don't remember about OJ?
He's the bit is that he's a witness in all these high profile
I do not remember this.
And they ask him about OJ and he goes, "I'm sorry, sir, my blackness will not allow me to comment on that." but then he low key says, "But OJ did that shit."
Wow, how have I never seen that skit? I thought I saw all of them. Yeah, that's fair. I had no idea about that. Like to the day. You would think that would get some more headlines than it did, you know?
Funny, I remember when he got convicted for that, and I feel like it's probably something that they would have talked about, but I don't remember ever hearing that.
All right, so they're all trying to like put all, going, what do they say? Full steam ahead, all cylinders, fire away. Trying to think of. Anyway, they're really trying to find Nicholas Flamel. They're putting a lot of effort into it, is what I'm trying to say. Ooh, I am good at my job. And they are not turning anything up. And when you look back at it, it's all these books about modern wizards. Mm-hmm. But of course, you don't realize that's the common thread when you're first reading them, because you're trying to figure out, well, why wouldn't he be in these books?
Yeah. And it's, reading it this time, I think I remembered before, like the first time we read it, being like, why does that name sound familiar? Mm-hmm. But, not. And you know what I realized too? Is I never really went back. Like, I would have these questions. Why does that name sound familiar? But I never once said, well, just go back and reread the first couple of chapters. I never did that the entire read. Never, not once. This time, I was like, that name sounds familiar. I just flipped a couple pages back. I was like, oh, there it is.
That's so funny. I can understand why you didn't, though. Like, your impulse is that you're afraid you're going to somehow spoil yourself by putting things retroactively together and ruin the fun, I think, maybe?
Maybe. I just think I didn't think of it. And again, because when you're reading a book on your own and you have these questions, the impulse isn't to go back, it's to go forward to get the answer.
Right, true. Right? Yeah.
So I was still working under that sort of that mind frame, but I was just only able to read, a couple chapters at a time. Mm-hmm. So, what can you do?
Okay, so they're trying to do this, and then it's time for Christmas. And Harry is, over the break, learning about wizard chess, which...
I love Christmas break. I love this so much.
Isn't it nice?
I didn't realize how much I love this.
Agreed. It's really... It's like going back to the beginning of Song of Ice and Fire when everybody's living at Winterfell all happy and practicing in the yard and eating their dinners and hanging out together. Yeah.
Alive.
Right. Alive. Details. Once the holidays had started, Ron and Harry were having too good a time to think much about Flamel. They had the dormitory to themselves, and the common room was far emptier than usual, so they were able to get the good armchairs by the fire. They sat by the hour, eating anything they could spear on a toasting fork, bread, crumpets, marshmallows, and plotting ways of getting Malfoy expelled, which were fun to talk about even if they wouldn't work. And then there's the bit about wizard's chess, and then they go to bed, and Harry wakes up, and there are all of these presents, which he was not expecting.
Yeah.
Which is the cutest, sweetest thing ever.
It is. And the sweaters, which is just as adorable as they were the first time I read them. And that Harry gets his own sweater, which is so touching. Mm-hmm. Because he's not really... He hasn't been to the Weasleys' home yet. Molly met him at the train station.
Yeah.
You know? And already she's thinking of him. And now, I guess it probably... Well, I don't really know why. I mean, other than she's awesome. You know, I mean, I guess Ron's probably mentioned what a good friend he is, but... Well,
Ron said that he mentioned to her that...
that's right. That he probably wasn't going to have any presents.
Yeah, I told her you didn't expect any more presents, and then, oh no, she made you a Weasley jumper.
Yeah. It's still so sweet, though.
It is. Yeah, and she also made him a box of fudge. Mm-hmm. And he gets a flute from Hagrid, and he gets a 50-pence piece taped to a card from or note. Taped to, it's interesting because she calls it sellotaped to the note, which, we call it scotch tape. And I wonder what because it's called cellophane also. And I'm like, is that from the same root? Cellophane and sellotape? Do you think? Is this interesting to literally anybody but me? Probably not. Okay, moving on.
I figured that, we call it scotch tape. Is Scotch a brand?
Yeah, because it has the tartan on the label.
Right. So maybe Cello is just a brand.
Maybe. It is capitalized, so maybe that is what it is. So, and then he gets his invisibility cloak.
Yeah.
And there is the mysterious note, which first time around you pretty much guessed that this was from Dumbledore. And he is just delighted and puzzled and a little flipped out to find out that this belonged to his father, especially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ron has an inkling of what it is.
Yes.
By looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think I questioned. And then later on in the stories, we find out that there are other cloaks, but none that work as well as Harry's, right? So I guess it stands to reason that it's something that Ron may have seen.
Right.
But I think when I first read this, I was under the impression that it was a much more common item than it turned out to be. Okay. Just because Ron is like, oh yeah, I think I know what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true, because we find it, it's not only like unusual, but it is like the kind of unusual that people don't believe exists. Like,
exactly.
It is a literal legend. So then, Harry had never in all his life had such a Christmas dinner. 100 fat roast turkeys, mountains of roast and boiled potatoes, platters of fat chipolatas, tureens of buttered peas, silver boats of thick, rich gravy and cranberry sauce, and stacks of wizard crackers every few feet along the table. These fantastic crackers were nothing like the feeble muggle ones the Dursleys usually bought with their little plastic toys and their flimsy paper hats. Harry pulled a wizard cracker with Fred, and it didn't just bang, it went off with a blast like a cannon and engulfed them all in a cloud of blue smoke, while from the inside exploded a real admiral's hat and several live white mice.
Mm-hmm. We talk about this? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, did we talk about this? Is that a tradition, like these almost like firecrackers for Christmas?
Yeah, they're like almost like a miniature version of a piñata. Huh. And they pop when you pull on them. Like there's little, and it's not, it depends on the kind that you get, obviously, like he describes here, or she describes here, but they're kind of like, those little bitty white paper wrapped things that you'd throw on the ground that would snap? Yeah. It's like that, but like times 20, where it's just like a bang for the fun. And sometimes there's like confetti inside that goes everywhere. And there are, I don't know if you've seen like movies where there's British families celebrating Christmas, but they'll have like paper colored crowns that they'll all be wearing on Christmas.
Really?
Yeah.
I never noticed that.
And it seems super fun to me. Like, this is the kind of thing that I wish that we did. At least, like, this is one of the things that I love about Owen, is that he gets super into all of the Christmas accessories. So he has a pair of red velvet boxers trimmed with white at Christmas time. He has a sweater that has a Santa's belt buckle around the middle. He has a Santa hat that has a yarn beard attached. So he has a white beard when he puts it on. He has a tie that's covered with Christmas ornaments. He has a sweater that is it's the most hideous. Okay, it's a turtleneck, a white turtleneck that's covered in wrapped presents, a pattern of wrapped presents. And over that, a sweater vest with Rudolph's head on it and a giant red bobblenose. He has a sweater that is like a that like really kind of Norwegian pattern knitted sweater, but it's all of the stormtroopers, but they're like wearing like Santa hats.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's like a lot. He has a lot. So this is the kind of thing that I always liked the idea of, and nobody wanted to get goofy with me and wear paper hats. And then I met Owen.
Oh.
And he wears all of the dumb things, and he sees new things, and he's like, should I get this? And he gets really excited about it, and it's the best. So, yeah, Christmas is awesome, in summary. I should do like a special unspoiled Christmas something.
You should.
I don't know what I should do. I think I was going to do reading A Christmas Carol last year, and I don't remember what happened, but that never came to fruition. I think that I wasn't like really sure that was going to be anything that people would listen to it or care, but maybe I'll do it. It's public domain. Do a little sound effects under it, little bells jingling at the beginning. Welcome to an unspoiled Christmas. Ding, 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 ding.
Oh boy.
Anyway, I'm a nerd. It's fine. I'm more than happy about it. Okay, so oh yeah. So then Dumbledore had swapped his pointed wizard's hat for a flowered bonnet and was chuckling merrily at a joke Professor Flitwick had read him. And then later on, Hagrid was getting redder and redder in the face as he called for more wine, finally kissing Professor McGonagall on the cheek, who, to Harry's amazement, giggled and blushed, her top hat lopsided. It's so great.
Yeah.
They go outside after dinner and have a snowball fight for like an hour. Then they come inside and they get warm by the fire in the common room where they play chess. And then they have turkey sandwiches and crumpets and trifle and Christmas cake.
There's a lot of chasing with Percy, which I love.
Yes. This is just like, isn't this what we all want Christmas to be?
It really is.
This is the best. Ugh. Makes my little heart so happy. I wish I had a fireplace. I wish that I had snow. Why do we live here? Oh, God, Texas. Okay. So, Harry is laying in bed that evening, and all of a sudden he thinks about his cloak, and he's like, yeah, this is going to happen right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And he gets right up out of bed.
Yeah, and he goes alone. Which, I appreciate and I understand that it's, he doesn't really want to share this experience with Ron.
Yeah, it's interesting because when he first goes out there, he is intending to research Nicholas Flamel because he figures that he can get into the restricted section while he's alone. And it's kind of like amazing that that's his instinct. That
he's not going out to
raise mayhem.
Yeah.
Steal food from the kitchens. Not that anybody would ever,
judge him
what?
For that.
And finally, he's looking through the books. He just picks a random one out finally and opens it.
Oh my God, it starts shrieking.
It starts screaming.
This is why I am unable to ever do anything sneaky, because this is exactly the kind of luck I have. This is why I don't even try. The first time I try to sneak out and go someplace I'm not supposed to be, the first thing I touch is going to go off like a fucking 5-alarm fire.
Ugh. It is really just like, I like that he panics so much that he like knocks his lamp over and like drops the book. Like that's because a startling sound like that, you just freak out. Like your brain can't process what's happening.
I love too that when he closes the book, it doesn't stop.
No, it just keeps. That makes me so mad. That in particular, I'm just like, that's just not fair. JK, come on. So yeah, he sneaks out of there under the cover of the cloak, and Filch has gone to get Snape. And is like, you told me to tell you if anybody was walking around at night. So, we know now that it's because Dumbledore asked him to keep an eye on Quirrell, won't you? But at the time, we think it's because Snape is like up to something.
Yeah. Because how is he not up to something? Come on. And technically, he is up to something.
Yep, that's
true. It just
true.
so happens that the thing he's up to is because Dumbledore has to.
That's very true.
Yeah, so I was firmly, in the camp of not trusting Snape by this point. It didn't take very long to convince me that he was terrible. It just took a long time to keep me convinced that he was terrible.
So Harry runs, and the first room that he can find to duck into to get out of there is the room with the mirror of Erised in it. And he flips out at first because when he looks into it, there's 10 other people at least standing behind him. Which is something that like consistently creeps me out. I don't care how cliche it is. When the character in the movie is looking in the mirror as they're getting ready for bed, they bend down to wash their face.
The mirror behind them?
Yep.
Oh, yes, that is no good.
Or they have like they are looking for something. They look in the mirror, they open it to get whatever from the medicine cabinet, and then they close the mirror, and there's somebody there.
Yeah.
Like,
no, thank you.
I just can't even talk about that right now without the hair on my arm starting to stand up. It's so cliche, and it still really fucks me up. So yeah, this like group of people behind him, that's even worse. One person's bad enough. No thank you. So yeah, he reaches out behind him thinking maybe there's somebody there that the mirror only reveals.
Right.
But he can't feel anything.
Yeah. And
he realizes that the woman standing nearest has eyes just like his.
Yeah, this very slow realization of what he's looking at is so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And it's first he's like, oh, she's very pretty. And then there's the eyes, and he realizes they look, like his, and oh my goodness.
So what do you think of the illustration? Because the mirror is very much not the focus.
Well, You know what? I was expecting illustration of a big, beautiful mirror. I thought for sure that that's what I would get. So I actually flipped by this page really fast, looking for but instead what we get is this, he looks so tiny here, first of all. And I guess I'm assuming that's pretty much on purpose. He's so tiny, and it's the saddest thing. And he just looks really alone. Like, this picture is the loneliest thing I've ever seen. And also, they don't show us his family. I thought it would be a big mirror with like all his family in it, and it's just him and his reflection. Oh man.
Yeah, and it's not like all of the images that I've seen, like you said, it's pulled back. You see the whole design of the mirror. You see his family waving from the mirror. And you see him standing and staring at them. The mirror is way off to the side, and we're at an angle such that it's not the focus. The background of this whole page is a bunch of like jumbled up chairs and furniture. That's pretty much like almost in complete darkness. And then Harry is leaning against the mirror with his like forehead up against it, with his eyes closed and his hands pressed to it, like he is hoping that he's going to sink into it or something, or reach through, or feel anything. It is pretty heart-wrenching.
It is. Yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting. It's quite moving though, and it goes really not with the scene of what Harry is seeing, but it captures what Harry must be feeling. Exactly.
Yeah, that I think is this is what I meant when I said like people can be influenced by things that have been designed and done already without realizing it. And this is when an artist does something like this, because I can't tell you how many Mirror of Erised illustrations are on DeviantArt. When I like did this chapter with you, it was so easy. I had to pick one, that was the hard part, was choosing one. And he has taken a completely different tack when he like deciding to show he is alone. Instead of the sweetness of the moment, he's like, this isn't sweet. This is fucking terrible. Like, because everybody else wants us to see his parents. Oh, look, his mom was beautiful. Oh, look, there's this moment where his first sight of them really in a way. And it's like, this isn't real. This isn't actually happening. And I feel like this illustration gives Dumbledore's words of warning later an underline to them.
It really does.
So yeah, while I might have been disappointed if I had been expecting something, it just, he nailed it so hard that I was just like, wow, when I first saw it. So he goes back the second night and brings Ron. And it takes them so long to find it that Ron almost is like, fuck it.
Yeah. He's so excited because he thinks he's going to be showing Ron his family. Which, you know what? I think probably assumed that's what was going to happen as well, because I don't think I got what the mirror was showing us, even though it fucking tells you. Yeah, it's backwards, but it is right there.
I think you did kind of figure it out. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, that's also like another thing that this illustrates his aloneness, because he can't even share it with Ron, because Ron doesn't see the same thing that he sees. Yeah. Which for some reason is also super heartbreaking, that there's no moment of like, hey, now you get to meet my family.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody who stands in front of this is completely isolated from the experience the other person is having. Just kind of brilliant and creepy, And when Harry goes back again, because Mrs. Norris comes in and interrupts and they realize they need to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
He doesn't bring Ron the next time. Because
No.
Ron says he has a bad feeling about this whole thing.
Yeah. Ron sees, his own desires, which make perfect sense for Ron, being the best at everything and kind of showing up his brothers and being special and successful and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he does not seem to have and how could he? The emotional response to it that Harry does.
Of course,
because,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's still on a different level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for him, it's just like, it's a little bit more of an ego thing. Which is I'm not trying to discount it, because that's still a very valid thing that, our ego exists for a reason, because it's somewhat important. But with Harry, it is this like bone deep, and like there's a blank spot that he will literally, there's no fixing that. That's just going to be there for life.
Yeah. What Harry's desire is so much more heart-wrenching.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, like you said, it is unfixable.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ron, matter of fact, Ron does become, a Quidditch player and is, sort of successful at it. And he does become a prefect. Harry is not ever going to have what's in the mirror.
Yeah. Yep, that's actually a really good point. Because that's what Dumbledore says later. Men have gone mad, wondering whether what they saw was real or even possible. Mm. And with Ron, it's at least possible.
Yeah.
And Harry, it's just never, ever.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, this is like so much more brutal going back somehow. But Harry goes back, and this time Dumbledore is there. And he explains what the mirror does.
Yeah. I love that line too. He says, because Harry's like, I didn't see you. And Dumbledore's like, strange how short-sighted being invisible can make you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good, that is a good line. However, this mirror will give us neither knowledge or truth. Men have wasted away before it, entranced by what they have seen, or been driven mad, not knowing if what it shows is real or even possible. The mirror will be moved to a new home tomorrow, Harry, and I ask that you not go looking for it again. If you ever do run across it, you will now be prepared. It does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live. Remember that. And he asks Dumbledore what he sees in the mirror. And Dumbledore says, I see myself holding a pair of thick woolen socks. Now, this makes me want to cry a tiny bit. Because Dumbledore might be seeing something really similar to Harry, really.
Yeah, same. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but I feel like it's got to be.
Right.
It's got to be his sister, and possibly his mother, and his, his whole family, his dad too.
Yeah, probably.
And this is you know what? I, in retrospect, feel like I understood Dumbledore, in a lot of the decisions he made,
mm-hmm.
and all the things that he kept from Harry, because he was right. You can't just dump everything on him the first day he gets there. But then there are moments where I'm like, they had so much in common. And, both had suffered such loss,
mm-hmm.
that I think of all the ways that he could have maybe been there for Harry.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I guess, he can't be that way. But part of it makes me sad, though, because who else would understand what Harry feels like?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and part of that I think it's the 5th book that he says, I had already made a terrible mistake. I had grown to care about you too much. And obviously him not sharing this stuff is an effort to keep himself somewhat distant. Mm-hmm. And that does not work. So good job. Okay, so the next chapter, Nicholas Flamel. But while Harry has agreed not to go looking for the mirror again, he starts having dreams, nightmares. Over and over again, he dreamed about his parents disappearing in a flash of green light while a high voice cackled with laughter. You see, Dumbledore was right. That mirror could drive you mad, said Ron. I'm like, oh, Ron. So Harry's getting driven pretty hard with these Quidditch things. Yeah.
We find out that Snape's going to be refereeing for the next match, which,
Yeah. Yeah, Harry is less than pleased about this. Okay, so when he tells them, I love the reactions. Don't play, said Hermione at once. Say you're ill, said Ron. Pretend to break your leg, Hermione suggested. Really break your leg, said Ron. I love that so much. And they're in the middle of this, and Neville falls into the room with his legs locked together because Malfoy did it to him.
Yeah. I saw a great shirt that said, I Nevilled up.
Oh my God. I didn't even... that's great. That's great. Oh, that's funny. And Ron is like, Neville, fucking stand up for yourself, buddy. And he's like, I know I'm not brave because Malfoy already said so. And Harry has to be like, you're worth 12 of Malfoy, which Neville throws in Malfoy's face later.
I love that. Guys, Neville, he's the best. Even when he's terrible at the beginning, he's so sweet, and he's just like sad, and you just want to put your arms around him and tell him everything's going to be fine. And I love him.
Yeah, agreed. And this is the moment because Harry gives Neville a chocolate frog to cheer him up, which I really like as being almost a little hint at the Dementor thing. It's not really, but it's like, oh, you're sad. Here's chocolate. Which, I mean, that's just true.
I was going to say, we already know that's true, though.
It really is, though. And when he hands the card from the chocolate frog to Harry, that's when Harry has this like brainwave and it's like, oh shit, I remember where I know that fucking name from now. That's what he sounds like, pretty much exactly. And Hermione goes and gets her book because she realizes the connection and is like really dramatically the only known maker of the Sorcerer's Stone. And they're like, cricket, cricket, cricket. She's like, come on, guys. Don't you read anything?
Nope.
Nope.
We do not. That's what we keep you around for. You read all the things.
Yep. Why do we need to? Honestly, we have you. You're basically Google.
She is.
So, let's see. The stone will transform any metal into pure gold. It also produces the elixir of life, which will make the drinker immortal. Now, I have so many questions about how this works. Do you just take the stone and like rub it on shit and it just begins to turn to gold where the stone touches, like a penny rubbing off a lottery ticket? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh my God. I have no idea. That's a really good question.
It's like,
It says It's a legendary substance with astonishing powers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it's called a stone.
I mean, Harry finds it later in the book. It's a stone.
Right. That's right. It's actually a stone, isn't
yeah.
it? Well, there goes that. How else would it work?
I don't know. Like, maybe if you touch, like, because I'm thinking you, like, have to rub the stone all over the thing. Maybe you just touch it to something and it just begins to turn in. But then Harry touches it with his bare hand. So maybe you have to touch it to something and recite a spell to get it to, like, work.
Why are you asking all these questions?
I'm just like, I just want to know. It's weird. And then it's like, it also produces the elixir of life, which sounds like you squeeze it like a grape and, like, some just juice comes out of it that you drink. Like, what does that mean? Produces?
I like the idea that it works almost like a wand where you just tap stuff.
But you have to, like, you have to really intend to turn things into, because, you know, like I said, Harry touches it with his bare hand and then he puts it in his pocket and his pants don't turn to gold, which would have been hilarious, actually. Oh but, yeah, so how does that go?
I cannot believe I'm about to Google this shit.
I want your theories, not your facts. What is this? Well, anyway, so that's what the Sorcerer's Stone is. Guys, write in. I know you will. All right, so, oh, hello. Next morning in Defense Against Dark Arts while copying down different ways of treating werewolf bites. Hey, what's up? That's something I didn't notice. Feels like a little early to be learning that kind of shit, but you know, all right. And finally, Harry has to play, and he is really excited because Dumbledore turns up, and he is confident, very confident, that there is no fucking way in hell Snape is going to try and kill him in front of Dumbledore.
Right.
So he starts to play quite well, and he catches the snitch like in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. Meanwhile, Ron and oh my god, he's so irritated.
He's so mad.
I love that so much. Like he just didn't even give him the chance to be a dickhead.
Oh, I love it.
Phew, excuse me. Whew. Meanwhile, Ron and Malfoy are completely like going at it, which sounds like they're fucking, but I mean fighting. In like on the ground behind the stands, and Neville bravely tries to take on both Crabbe and Goyle, which, as you can imagine, doesn't go great. But I just love so much this whole like weird situation because, you know, I don't care about fucking Quidditch, and I mean, it's, you know, it's a cool idea, but I don't care. I care about Quidditch about as much as I care about any sport, which is practically nil. And this is a kind of Quidditch match that we don't really see later, because usually it's almost exclusively told from Harry's point of view. Mm-hmm. We don't really jump into scenes that Harry's not a part of later. So this is, you know, kind of a special moment where Harry's up doing his thing and catching the snitch and kicking ass, and we still get to see Ron and Malfoy fighting, Hermione like being focused and cheering and totally ignoring these idiot boys behind her, Neville getting into some shit because he's finally like found some confidence. I really like that. I understand why she didn't, because you need to stay with Harry more as the story starts to get more and more focused and intense. But it's almost like a little bitty bit of fan fiction. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's there's not a lot, like you said, especially in the later books, where you get to see the whole world. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like looking in and seeing everything. Because pretty early on, I think, we jump into Harry's head, and we really don't leave it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, Ron, where are you? The game's over. Harry's won. And Harry jumped off his broom a foot from the ground. He couldn't believe it. He'd done it. The game was over. It had barely lasted 5 minutes. Well done, said Dumbledore quietly, so that only Harry could hear. Nice to see you haven't been brooding about that mirror. Been keeping busy. Excellent. Snape spat bitterly on the ground. Nah, you dick. So Harry he stays behind a little bit, and he winds up getting to get a sneak peek at a conversation between Snape and Quirrell. So this is pretty great knowing what we know now.
Yeah.
Don't know what you wanted to meet here of all places, Severus. Oh, I thought we'd keep this private, said Snape, his voice icy. Students aren't supposed to know about the Sorcerer's Stone, after all. Harry leant forward. Quirrell was mumbling something. Snape interrupted him. Have you found out how to get past that beast of Hagrid's yet? But Severus, You don't want me as your enemy, Quirrell, said Snape, taking a step towards him. I don't know what you know perfectly well what I mean. An owl hooted loudly, and Harry nearly fell out of the tree. He steadied himself in time to hear Snape say, Your little bit of hocus pocus. I'm waiting. But I don't... Very well, Snape cut in. We'll have another little chat soon when you've had time to think things over and decide where your loyalties lie. He threw his cloak over his head and strode out of the clearing. So yeah, that's pretty brilliantly written.
Yeah, I cannot remember. Okay, I'm sorry, I got distracted.
I'm like hearing this like clicking. What is happening back there?
Pops. It sounds like fireworks or gunshots. I'm
Yikes.
Fireworks?
I hope so.
I can't imagine why.
Yikes.
Is there a holiday that I don't know about?
Is it Guy Fawkes? Pretty sure that's in March.
Well, I don't hear any screaming, so.
This is how far we've fallen, guys. Well, there's no screaming, no blood. Things are probably fine.
So this is okay. It's definitely fireworks. I just don't know why. This is some really nifty sleight of hand she's pulling here. Mm-hmm. Because it is 100% misdirection.
Yep.
And I am trying not to be upset about it.
Good luck.
Because, I mean, how is she so good at it? Really?
Yeah, right?
This whole thing, there's no way to read this and you don't come out thinking that Snape is definitely trying to get the stone for some nefarious reasons, that Quirrell is being bullied by this much more powerful, stronger-willed person. And then we find out, of course, that is not what's happening.
Nope. Yeah, it's just worded so beautifully that there's it's not even the kind of thing, because there have been things that I've read where you go back and you're like, okay, I guess the reveal works, but come on.
Right. There are times where you feel like the shock reveal or whatever isn't earned because they really did lie to you. In whatever way you want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, completely.
But this is when you go back to try to be like, aha, there's not really an aha, because she always leaves herself a little bit of room. She leaves herself just enough room so that you can be like, well.
Right.
I could have swore she said that thing, but then you go back and it's like, no, she actually didn't. You just leapt to this wild conclusion.
Yeah.
Because it felt right. It felt like that's what you were being told.
Which is such a brilliant tactic, not only in that what she's like you know, what she's trying to write, but it really reveals how we approach everything in life, right? Like we just decide what's true, and everything that we see and hear is filtered through that lens. Yep. And it doesn't even occur to us how like completely open what we're seeing is to the opposite conclusion, because that just never even enters our minds as a factor. Like what is that? The confirmation bias? Like you make up your mind and then you just look for things to support it. Which was why it was so much fun, even though I'm using that word loosely, with the back and forth about not knowing what to do with Snape. Mm-hmm. Because I had clearly made a decision, and it felt like a lot of the time I was getting what I needed to confirm that decision. Right. But then all of a sudden I wouldn't. Mm-hmm. And then I would realize that my decision wasn't really supported as strongly as I thought it was. Mm-hmm. You know, like she kept attacking that assumption in these little ways that kept me anyway, really off balance. And that's hard to maintain. That's true. And it's hard to maintain it and not feel cheated, like I said, at the end of it. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah, I think that's the main thing, is not feeling cheated. I think that's a really good way to say it, because it doesn't necessarily seem fair to be like, you lied or you did, but cheating, it's like, yeah, okay, technically what you did may be okay, but like, that's how I feel at the end of a lot of mystery novels, where it turns out that suddenly the fucking detective had all this information that I never had and could never have had. And they come to this conclusion, and I'm like, well, fucking not impressive that you came to that conclusion, because you had a whole ream of files that you never let anyone else see. Like, of course you fucking know what's happening, and I don't. Like, that was sometimes a problem with the end of Poirot, is that he'd like stand up to make his declaration, and his fucking declaration would take 20 minutes of the show because he had to fill us in on all this plot that never actually got revealed to us. And I'm like, I enjoy the show, but come on, like there's a point where you're just basically like you're asking us to just watch and resign ourselves that we will never be able to figure this out. And if I know that, okay, I guess, but part of it is like wanting to be able to figure it out. Like that's part of the appeal. And once you realize that no matter what, you're never really going to be able to do that, because that's not how the author works, it can be a little bit disappointing. Like you almost feel like you're spacing out until the last moments, until they just tell you. Like, yeah, you might as well just be watching a show where he just stands up and tells you how some crime was committed. Exactly. So yeah, I agree with you on that. And yeah, he said, so you mean the stone's only safe as long as Quirrell stands up to Snape? Said Hermione in alarm. It'll be gone by next Tuesday, said Ron. That is the end of chapter 13. Oh, Ron. Ron. Ronnie boy. Ron does have some good lines. He does, it's true. Oh, boy. So that's the end of that section. Thank you, everybody who listened to us talk about some shit we already talked about one other time. Because that's what this is. Oh, it's true. What are we doing next week? 3 chapters? 3 chapters again, yeah. All right. So I did the math, and yeah, we're not going to finish rereading by the time you go to Wizarding World. But that's okay. I'm okay with it. It'll be fun, but I think it'll be nice to go to Wizarding World, come back, and maybe we'll be finished by the end of the year or the beginning of next year. Because there's going to be a point where 3 chapters for the reread is even going to be too much. Because that's how these books work. We're going to have so much to say. Did you ever think that these rereads were going to be this, like, full of things to talk about?
when we were doing the 5 chapters and that podcast was long as fuck.
Oh my God.
And we were both like, why are we saying, what are we even talking about? Why do we have so much to say?
Yeah, it was like an hour and 40 minutes or something. Like, it was just like, yeah, a moment where I just looked up and was like, oh, well then.
About those 5 chapters.
I just love that when we first read the very first book and I said anything about a reread, you were like trying so hard not to just laugh in my face and be like, listen, you're lucky you're getting a read. Never mind a reread. And now you're the one asking for a reread, and you're the one going, oh, and that, and this, and that. And I'm like, ha, 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 I've got you now. I got my hooks.
I never stood a chance.
Nope. I'm very proud of myself. I feel like I'm like, this is some huge pyramid scheme. I like caught a really big fish. Okay, so I think that's everything. Is there anything that you would like to add?
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody at Harry Potter Reading.
Oh my God, I'm so excited, guys!
I'm getting pretty excited too. And I don't really get excited about things. It's not in my nature. Especially not things that are long, like out. Mm-hmm. But I'm starting to get a little excited.
Oh my God. I'm looking at all of the Harry Potter accessories. I'm looking at like handbags, like shit. I should not be spending my money on any of this stuff. And I haven't ordered anything because I am fucking flat broke this month. But I'm already like, oh my God, how am I going to paint my nails? Maybe I'll do my thumbs as Hogwarts and then I'll do my 4 fingers as each of the 4 houses. This is what I'm thinking about. I'm like, oh, I'm really going to have to get my hair freshly dyed. And what am I going to want to pack? I'm thinking about what I'm going to pack for November. That's just pointless. What am I doing? I'm like, are my shoes going to be, am I going to be able to walk all day in these? Yeah, this is what I'm thinking about. So I can't wait. I love this shit. I can't wait for the fucking, okay, I know I've talked about this before, but it's been a while, so I'm going to talk about it again with the same level of excitement. There is a boardwalk for Universal. It's called City Walk. And it has a karaoke bar that is the shit. And calling it a karaoke bar, that's like calling a like freshly made homemade donut, comparing it to like 2-day-old Dunkin' Donuts that's like sitting in an old box in your office building.
Jesus.
This is did I evoke something? Did I get it is a huge bar with a stage at one end, and they have a live band with a limited number of songs, about I think like 60, 80 different songs, and you sing karaoke up on stage backed by a full live band and backup singers if you need them.
Lord have mercy.
Yes, it is fucking great. And it was like one of those nights where I went there with Brennan and his parents and his sister. And we had heard that the place was great. And we walked in there like about half an hour after they opened. And it was like us and 2 other people. And we were kind of feeling a little bit worried about it. And we signed up and went up and sang. And people had started to come in by the time we went up. By the time we left, that place was so packed, and people were singing the best songs. Like it was like a lot of 90s hip hop and pop, and the crowd knew all of the songs, so everybody was singing along and like jumping up and down in rhythm with it and like fucking into it. It was the kind of moment that feels like it has to be part of a movie. It's the kind of thing that you watch when you're like a kid on a TV show and you're like, oh, going to clubs is like that. And that literally never happens. And you hate clubbing because you thought it was going to be great and it's terrible. The place is called City Walk's Rising Star. That is something that we are all going to be doing if you come to Orlando. Maybe you don't have to get up and sing. I'm not going to make you do that because trust me, there'll be plenty of people going up and singing. You don't have to. It's not like, but you will have the best time. It is so much fun. Oh, it's the greatest. I wish that we didn't leave as early as we had because the party was like barely getting started. But yeah, I'm super excited about that. Like City Walk just has a ton of stuff to do. And it is a little bit like eye rolly, like, you know, they have a Hard Rock Cafe and they have this place called The Groove, which is this like jazz lounge. And like some of it is very, all right, we get you're trying to be really cool. But seriously, they kind of pull it off. So maybe they get to be a bit corny about it. So yeah, that's the thing that I'm really looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to doing all the goofy stuff that I normally never do.
Like what?
I don't even like just all the stuff. This t-shirts, the house colors.
Yay!
You know. I'm just really looking forward to it.
Oh my God. Should I make our Unspoiled group shirts like according to house color? Should that be the thing? Is that going too far? I was going to make them all purple, but now I'm like, what if I made it like the purple logo, like big on the back, but the shirt itself was like red or yellow or blue or green? And then everybody can have their house.
Wear it according to their house.
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh, shit. I'm so excited about it.
We still have matching shirts, but, well, yeah, the shirts will also say the same thing and it's having spoiled on the back, so. I'm
like, I'll make just the back of the shirt purple. And the front will be made of a entirely different fabric. That won't look tacky and horrifying at all.
We won't have any trouble finding each other.
Oh my God, true.
We'll be the people other people are pointing and laughing.
Did you guys see 3 other people who looked like crayons anywhere around here? Straight out of a Crayola box, pretty much. Yeah, okay. I figured you'd notice them. Thanks. Oh, all right. Oh man, I'm so excited about this, guys. If you can make it, like seriously, the rooms are so inexpensive, like comparatively, it's $125 a night. You can split that with somebody. Like everybody is looking for somebody to split rooms with. And my listeners are not weirdos. They're great. Like I can't say enough how delighted I am by like everybody that I have met through the podcast. There's been like one dickhead and he stopped listening to me because I'm liberal. And so goodbye, good, whatever. And other than that, everybody has been amazing. So if you are, interested in getting to know people before you book a room with them, understandable, go to the group, facebook.com/groups/unspoiled HP world and, see if you can chat some people up. Maybe Skype with them and just chat for a minute to make sure y'all aren't, going to be Oscar and what's the other? Felix? Yeah, that's the one. You see what I'm saying. You get it. Rashawn and I are going to be sharing a room and we've never lived together for a second. I've never even been to your house. You never even been to my house.
I've never even been to your house.
How weird, right?
I know, right?
So yeah, this is going to be the first time that she realizes that I fart copiously in my sleep. That's not true, but how awful would that be though? How terrible. What if it is true and I don't even know it because Owen's just never said anything? Oh no. Would you tell me? Would you be my good friend and like let me know, hey girl, listen, you might want to see somebody about that.
Oh my God. Oh my God. First of all,
Rashawn can't say the F word.
I was just going to say, I hate that word.
It's, the word fart. She can't.
Oh, stop saying it. Oh.
I'm trying to think what terrible thing I could do that would drive you crazy.
That's pretty much it.
What about if I didn't go to bed until super late? Because you like to go to bed early. But it's vacation. You're okay with going to bed late, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What if I like bounced into the room in an amazing mood at like 6:30 in the morning? Okay, guys.
I would hate that.
That's true. I would hate it too, though. So that's why we're friends. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for listening. We love you all so much. You're the best. Please come to Wizarding World with us. And we will see you next week with 3 more chapters. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.